Good afternoon. Welcome on in for another episode of From Day One. You guys seem to love it, so I would be foolish not to provide it. We have more on the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial for court proceeding today. Amber Heard still on the attack side of the ledger. They call a witness for their side by the name of Rocky. And let's just say it doesn't go well. So we'll have that going on while we rock through Dominion this afternoon. Let's begin.
Did you testify in the UK trial?
Thank you. Sure.
Yes. And for which party did you testify for the UK trial?
I believe it was the publication.
BN. And by publication, you mean The Sun?
Yes.
Okay, so in case, for those people that know, I know some of you do, but there was a trial in the UK where Johnny sued The Sun for defamation. So she testified on behalf of The Sun, which is not exactly, but it's sort of a proxy for Amber. Those are the people saying he's bad. So she was opposed to him in that litigation, and she's supposedly opposed to him here, but she does nothing but help him as far as I can see.
When was the last time you spoke to Ms. Heard?
Perhaps 6 months ago, maybe more.
What did you and Ms. Heard speak about?
Probably it was before her baby was born. So we were mostly speaking about her baby at that point.
Did you speak to... When was the last time you spoke to Ms. Whitney Heard?
Around October, November of last year.
When you say last year, you mean 2021?
Yes.
When did you first meet Ms. Amber Heard?
I believe it was 2003.
These two were met Ms. Heard in 2003 to develop this friendship. Is that right?
Yes.
Would you say you were best friends?
We became very close friends.
Your friendship with Ms. Heard is consistent through her relationship with Mr. Depp. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you,
the audio is not the greatest, so in case you didn't hear it, she asked if they were best friends, and she said we're very good friends. And I know all this stuff because I've been watching the trial for weeks. But for those of you who don't, they're very close. And in fact, she moves into a house or a condo provided by Johnny, and she's around for all of these events.
Okay.
you were friends with Ms. Heard through her divorce from Mr. Depp as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Other than when you lived at the Eastern Columbia building, which we'll get to, did you ever live with Ms. Heard?
Yes.
When was it?
2017 to 2018.
This was the person that Curry testified Amber Heard punched.
Where did you both live?
We lived on Holly Drive.
Was that a help?
By the way, the other voices other than the good old Mike that we normally have here that you're hearing are members of the LawTube group who basically a whole bunch of lawyers get together, watch the case, and comment on it in real time. So in case you do hear voices you do not recognize, that's where they're coming from.
Yes.
To answer the chat,
And
yes,
did you pay
video
rent?
depositions count towards the time. We don't know exactly what the split is, though,
No.
between the two sides.
Did Ms. Heard?
Yes.
Sitting here today, do you still consider Ms. Heard a friend?
I wouldn't consider her not a friend.
Ouch.
What
Oh,
does that mean?
We don't speak. We
Weird.
are not enemies.
Weird.
Why don't you speak?
We grew apart.
Interesting. And how
Wanda,
like
can I just ask a question right back?
Yes.
I think they had a falling out over Raquel stealing or misusing her credit card. Somebody can
Sitting
tell
here
me.
today, you can't give me one reason why you grew apart from Miss Hurd.
No, just tell us.
I wanted to spend more time with other people in my life and prioritize other relationships and other.
And yet this is the person you're
Relationships.
calling for your defense.
Amber doesn't let you do that.
What a nice euphemism for she's nasty. I wanted to prioritize the relationships. It's such corporate speak. But
I so wanted out of this
God,
bitch.
She has bad relationships with a lot of people. I didn't know who she was, a month ago. But I'm seeing this sort of thing time and time again. Bear in mind, this is a witness called by Amber Heard's team. They offered this evidence. I do not know why, but they did.
Your principal, Amber Heard. Did you ever see her using illicit drugs?
Can you define illicit drugs?
Not prescribed.
Mega pints.
Yes.
Did you ever see her use cocaine?
Yeah.
You're having on that
Yes.
long. The answer is yes.
Thank you. Somebody.
Okay, so now we have. I just cut off Natalie. Whatever, you'll hear her. So now we have her confirming
That's Natalie, lawyer chick, by the way.
her best friend, or close friend that she provided a house to for years, no longer speaks to her, and we've also confirmed her drug use. That doesn't sound like a big idea, but she's always throughout this trial posing as the moral majority on drug use. Johnny's admitted a lot of drug use, but meanwhile, she's doing stuff left and right. And she's always trying to act like, oh, I'm afraid of him and his drug use. Meanwhile, she's drinking wine, doing shrooms, MDMA, everything under the sun.
You mean the mega pints of wine?
She just characterizes that as, fun, good times for her. But it's a problem for Johnny. It's hard to watch.
You finally tell the truth. I'm just popping Molly, shrooms, and acid. Okay.
I don't know.
Outlets?
No.
Less than 10?
Yes.
Less than 5?
Yes.
If you remember, when was the first time you ever saw Amber Heard use cocaine?
I don't remember.
Hard to remember when she does it all the
Did you ever
time.
do cocaine with Miss Heard?
Yeah.
Yes.
How often? You
Daily.
testified you saw Miss Heard use mushrooms less than 5 times, yes?
Yes.
Each of those 5 times, or less than, was she in a relationship with Mr. Depp?
Did you say each of the 5 times?
Right.
Not each of the 5 times.
How many times that you observed Amber Heard use mushrooms was she in a relationship with Mr. Depp?
Maybe 3.
I sure
Do you
did.
recall the specific occasions when you saw Amber Heard use mushrooms while she was in a relationship with Mr. Depp?
The first Coachella that we went to. The second Coachella that we went to.
I don't think you can go to Coachella without, taking something.
Maybe at Hicksville.
You recalled another argument with Miss Heard at Holly House, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
What was this argument about?
She really seems thrilled to be here.
I think that we were setting up for Thanksgiving, and we were looking for maybe some glasses or some dishware. We had just moved in, and we couldn't find them anywhere. And then she finally found them in a place that I thought I had looked, and we started arguing about that. She thought that I wasn't looking hard enough, I think, and I told her that I thought that I looked there. Yeah, I think that's what their argument was about.
Was this just a verbal altercation, or did you get physical with each other?
You are under oath.
Yeah, I believe that I pushed her.
I don't believe that by the way she says it.
No.
I don't think she pushed Amber because she said, I believe that I pushed her. Yeah, you remember it. You either pushed her or you didn't. I believe, I'm not saying I'm right, just my gut reaction to that is you're making that up to protect her.
Sounds fair.
How did Miss Amber Heard react to that?
She
Beat the shit out of me.
She either pushed or hit me back.
See? Beat the
Yeah.
shit out of me.
You know where she hit you?
I think it was on my cheek.
You previously testified that you went on a trip to Hicksville with.
Okay, so far this is a humdinger for the defense here. They call a witness who establishes that she can't maintain a relationship with one of her best friends. That she does drugs, including cocaine. Cocaine's specifically good because she really, really preens about cocaine. That she's afraid Johnny's doing cocaine, and she makes these crazy arguments like, "Well, I do every other drug, but cocaine, that's the bad one, and that's what scares me." Meanwhile, her best friend says, "Yeah, I've done coke with her." So we've established that her best friend doesn't like her anymore. She does cocaine and other drugs. And that she hit her friend. So, again, this is all the stuff she's projecting on Johnny. You're abusive. Well, we have her admitting that she's hit Johnny and cut his finger. And she didn't admit that cutting the finger, but she did. Then she says, you're a drug abuser. Well, there's all sorts of testimony that she's doing drugs whenever she feels like it.
Miss Heard, Mr. Depp, and some other friends. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you for this, Woody.
Do you recall when this trip occurred?
And the weird thing of hell is they, the defense, are the ones who called this.
Appreciate your perspective. It helps to have folks like you talking out. Or speaking out, I should
Not
say.
off the top of my head.
Do you recall who else went on that trip?
Yes.
People are asking.
Well,
This is Raquel Pennington. So she was a good friend of her. Who was one of the freeloaders. We've got an
Nathan,
Johnny.
who was one of Johnny's assistants.
She testified towards the beginning of her depot that they grew apart because Rocky wanted to prioritize other relationships.
Right. Exactly.
She didn't get into specifics beyond that.
Nice breakup one.
Yeah. It was very diplomatic of her. That's fine.
Yep.
I can't believe her team is offering this.
Do you think it's really just lousy, basically?
It kicks off with her hitting somebody.
Trying to remember.
It's ridiculous.
And a good friend who chose to leave her.
Right.
Yeah.
Why? Because she's nasty.
But this is the best she's got. Otherwise, they would just have no one testifying for her, right?
Oh, I don't remember anybody else.
He was on record with versions.
Where were you all
Never
seen?
gave her.
It's pretty sad, to be honest.
At Hicksville Trailer Park.
What we're
First
seeing
one
is the result of
witnessed
life.
Mr. Depp become, quote, angry and aggressive, unquote, toward a friend of yours.
It's a cautionary tale, really.
Yes.
It's unfortunate, but
Relative to where Mr. Depp was, where were you when this occurred?
actions have consequences.
We were around a campfire.
My question is a bit more specific. Relative to where Mr. Depp was.
Okay, so then we got through that, and we get to a place called Hicksville, which is, believe it or not, supposedly like a nice trailer park out in the desert for, whatever. And they're out there on sort of a little holiday, and everyone's doing drugs. And the testimony is that a bad fight ensues here, and Johnny's violent, nuts, and everything. And then Rocky gives her account of this fight, which completely does not support Amber's testimony.
Oh.
the person who testifies in that manner. So again, you know, we've established drug use, hitting somebody else, losing a friend, and now we're not corroborating her testimony. We're actually contradicting her testimony. I don't know where they're going with this.
This occurred. Where were you, sitting or standing?
I was at the same campfire.
How close were you
In a
to that?
circle. 6 to 10 feet.
What time of day did this occur?
Evening.
Have you consumed any drugs or alcohol at this time?
Gallons?
I think so.
Hundreds of gallons?
Yeah.
What do you recall consuming at that
Of course
time?
you did.
I don't remember.
Like all the drugs?
I'm just
Like
popping
wine.
through.
I don't remember specifically.
Did you smoke any weed?
No.
Yes.
Did you consume any cocaine?
Yes.
No.
Have you consumed any mushrooms?
Yes. Not if you take that long.
That's
I
a
believe
yes.
so.
Yeah, I would, yeah. If you do shrimp so
Have
much
you
that you're
consumed
just not sure
any
that things like that,
MDMA?
come on.
No.
Who was the friend that you referenced that became quote angry and aggressive towards?
Do them every day.
Kelly. Kelly Sue.
How did you know her?
She's the one that gave us the
She
drugs.
was married to a work friend of mine.
Do you have any independent recollection of how long you had known Kelly
Good question.
Milano by the time Hicksville occurred?
More than 1 year, less than 2.
What did you witness Kelly Sue Milano doing that evening before Mr. Depp became, quote, angry and aggressive?
I witnessed her hang out with the rest of the group.
Did you see her consume any alcohol?
Not that I remember.
Did you see her smoke any weed?
No.
Consume cocaine?
Of course.
Did you see her consume any mushrooms?
Of course. That would be yes.
Maybe 1. So I'm genuinely trying to remember.
Swinging group of people. That's all I have to say. They're having good times.
You take that long.
I saw her eat some amount. I don't know how much.
So that's a
Did you
yes.
see her consume any MDMA?
No.
Yes.
You testified that Mr. Depp said words to the effect of, quote, get off my woman, end quote, to your friend. Is that right?
I testified that.
Did you personally hear Mr. Depp say that?
Yes.
Is this the, quote, angry and aggressive, end quote, conduct by Mr. Depp that you testified to?
Yes.
Other than telling Kelly Sue Milano to, quote, get off his woman, end quote, what did you personally observe Mr. Depp do that was, quote, angry and aggressive, end quote?
That was what happened. Then
Whoa.
That wasn't
I
good.
think Kelly and Amber were hugging on a chair out by the fire.
It's a big difference.
He came out of nowhere, said that, and then I think that Amber and Johnny went back to their trailer.
What happened to trying to break her wrist?
Other than hearing Mr. Depp,
Yes, Natalie.
It's good I left it. I did this for the legal bites. That was Natalie. That's the thing. They were talking about a violent confrontation. I don't really want to get into it, all the specifics of it, because it would take too long. But they're talking about him just being a complete maniac, really violent, and all this stuff in her presence. And then she comes out and says, "Well, I didn't see anything." I mean, it's their witness.
say something to the effect of get off my woman. What did you personally observe Mr. Depp do that was, quote, angry and aggressive?
She don't know.
That's it.
Did you hear Amber say anything to Mr. Depp?
I don't remember her saying anything.
Did you hear Amber
So far,
Heard's
the
voice
opposite of extrinsic
speaking to Mr.
corroboration.
Depp?
Yep.
No.
Wow, why is this put on by her team?
Because they're stupid, Natalie.
Behavior.
It was the best they can do. They had to scrape the bottom of the barrel to get somebody.
He was trying to comfort him.
This evening in Hicksville, did you ever see Amber Heard consume
And
any
this is
drugs
their
or alcohol?
landing point. This is how they stick the landing.
It's horrible.
It's like a belly flop.
I didn't see it.
Do we know when the sister Whitney is going to
You
testify?
didn't see Miss Heard drink any wine?
Yes, tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't remember a specific time watching the sip of a drink.
Did you personally witness Mr. Depp, quote, in a rage, end quote, that Miss Heard described?
Did I personally witness the rage in the trailer?
Yeah.
Anywhere.
No.
Wow. Jeez.
Did you hear Mr.
Never
Depp
witnessed the
yelling in
rage.
trailer?
Wow.
No.
No, she wouldn't have been in
Did
the
you hear
trailer.
Miss Heard yelling in the trailer?
But it's a trailer.
No.
Did you personally see that the trailer was, quote, trashed, as
Has
Miss Heard
anyone
described?
testified to seeing Johnny hit Amber?
The next morning?
No one has.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is where the essay happened inside the trailer, the cavity search.
What specifically did you see in the trailer?
According to Amber.
The thing I remember specifically was the light fixtures had been knocked off.
You love it, Erica.
And you didn't see Mr. Depp knock off the light fixtures in the trailer, is that correct?
It wasn't in
I
there.
did not see it.
My best bet is
So
that
the
this
only
witness
thing you know
exists
about what
from May
happened in that
2016 in
trailer
the
is what
hopes
Miss
of
Heard
Zoo.
told you, and your observations of the light fixtures being knocked off. Is that correct?
The only thing I know
Daniel, I
about what
hope so.
happened in the trailer is what
I
she
hope so.
told me and what I saw the next morning.
And the only thing you saw the next morning was that the light fixtures had been knocked off. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
That was not the only thing I saw. It is the specific thing I saw.
What else do you recall about the trailer?
It was in a general disarray.
Is that it, Mike?
Well, there you have it. That was their witness, and shortly after that, they ended for the day. Now, maybe there's some fantastic stuff coming down the pike that I don't know about. They have all the testimony. This was a deposition taken in January, so the attorneys know everything she's saying. I mean, if it stopped now, they would be out of their minds. So maybe there's some great stuff for Amber Heard later in this testimony, but right now, it is worse than neutral. I mean, it's bad for her. I mean, if I was Johnny, I would offer this in my case in chief. So you got to figure there's something that's helpful to Amber later, but I don't know what's going through their minds. It better be good to overcome all the bad hits they've taken so far in the front end of this testimony. But the case is really gotten crazy. That's what I've been waiting for, because I was completely unconvinced by Amber Heard in her testimony. It was more good cross-examination today, but I did a really good video on that. I'll put a link in the description below, or a card up or something. What did I call it yesterday? Amber gets destroyed or something like that. Amber Heard destroyed. At least that's what I put on the thumbnail. And I think that's it. Although I will say I was there for a lot of that testimony today too, and that was still the best of the group. There was more good stuff, but that was the best of it. It really was. So you know, they call one the other witness who is just a sap who will do anything Amber Heard wants him to. You know, just sort of a dopey guy. He didn't really hurt Amber, but he didn't really help either. He just sort of said things we already knew. He did testify that he never saw Johnny Depp abuse her. So, and then he did drop some insinuations like, oh, I was worried about her. I'd feel this way. You know, just nonsense. That's not getting you anywhere in that sort of way. I was going to do this. You know what I'm going to do instead? I'll put a link to it in the description below. Colonel Kurtz, who was talking on this video, has her own channel. She's really cool, and she follows a lot of stuff. For those of you who are into this, she told me a story about a videotape where Amber, it appears, beat up her sister, and then her sister was on some show, and showing bruises or whatever. I'll put a link to that in the description. I was going to show it, but I thought, it's from a shell, so they'll probably copyright me or something. I don't know. I won't do it. Plus, it's not mine. But she's got a really interesting channel if you want to follow for like more details and like all the nitty gritty of this stuff. Her question was, can they get this video into evidence? And I'm thinking it's a tough call because it's more prejudicial than probative. But you could find an excuse under the right circumstance. But you could also write a 47-page law review article on that question. So, there we have it. I just clipped it down to what I thought was the most interesting of what I saw today. I saw most of it, not all of it, most of it. And that fascinated me. I wanted to know if they were going to have good corroboration because that's the only thing that could flip me. And then they offer a witness that actually helps Johnny more than Amber. I don't get it. All right, cerebral tackle. We love you, Mike. You're our boy. Oh, thank you.
Yes, Mike, you're an awesome kid.
All right. I appreciate y'all coming out. I will get back to making fun of pro ses and sovereign citizens, and I missed it. But
Thank you, Mikey. Hey, as long as the people like it, well, you gotta provide what they like. If they like this Johnny Depp and Amber Heard stuff, well, be incredibly foolish not to, provide. So let's go ahead and finish up the last couple fights here in this adventure. To complete up. And while we do it, let's play a little bit of that Amber Heard getting destroyed. If I can get it queued up here. Alright, let's go into the case.
Of this abuse using Amica cream. It's clear, based upon the trial, she hasn't really produced any good pictures of showing anything to speak of. Well, a couple pictures that showing some redness, but it's very inconclusive as to whether that is anything. So they're really banking hard on this notion that she's a guru with the makeup. And was just able to cover it all up, and nobody's really buying it at this point. But here it is. You can see, and this is again testimony from her being questioned by her own attorney, and it's just not going over well.
Yes, I get up and wash my face like most of us, and I put on right away a moisturizer that has tinted foundation in it. And then I put another foundation on because it has sunblock.
Thank you, Belly.
Condition, like my skin reacts to the sun in a bad way.
Oh, you mean like all that pink?
So I have to wear sunscreen or sunblock.
Rosacea.
So I put on both
Or the fact that you're
concealer,
good. That's good, Amber.
And I do that before
Amber, what's going on here?
leave my
What's going
bathroom.
on with the super sensitive skin?
It is.
It's obviously they don't have a bruise.
Now, when you had bruises or cuts of any nature, what would you do about those? Would you try to cover them up? Would you try to just leave them showing? What would you do?
Especially on her bleeding.
I
Overruled on that.
Stop
Well, I'm typically photographed in LA when I leave the house, paparazzi type of photograph. So I'm somewhat aware of that anyway. And no woman wants to walk around with a bruise on her face. So if I do have a bruise on my face or someplace visible, the main thing, you have to ice right away to reduce swelling because no amount of makeup can fix swelling, but it's very manageable if you ice it really soon. Arnica is also a great remedy, Arnica cream. And then if you want to cover up a bruise, obviously put foundation first, concealer, and then on top of that, I used a bruise kit not a bruise kit. It's a theater makeup kit, a color correction.
Whoa, wait. Did she say bruise kit?
The main thing, you have to ice right away to reduce swelling because no amount of makeup can fix swelling, but it's very manageable if you ice it really soon. Arnica is also a great remedy, arnica cream. And then if you want to cover up a bruise, obviously put foundation first, concealer, and then on top of that, I used a bruise kit.
Fuck, she did say bruise kit. This is not good for you, Amber. For anybody who doesn't know, a bruise kit is actually used in, like, theater and everything else to put bruises on an actor or actress's face. A bruise kit definitely is not used to conceal.
Bruise kit, it's a theater makeup kit, a color correction kit I use.
I think that's a telling slip right there. She did not intend to say that, and then she corrects herself. A bruise kit out there apparently means a kit that you would use to put bruises on to show it. We're talking Hollywood and in the entertainment industry here. And frankly, I think that's the much more likely scenario than her covering an actual bruise, based upon my viewing of this trial.
I called it my bruise kit.
And maybe I use this, I think, in helping you mistake on
If you could buy the microphone, please. Oh. Just we can hear you. There you go.
May I approach the witness to let
That's what you could show counsel.
This is what I was talking about as a color correction kit. This is not obviously the exact one I used to carry.
I will explain the reaction of the panel, including myself there. There was a highly publicized thing where in the beginning of the case, her attorney comes out with this, trying to explain that she used one of these to cover her injuries. However, the one she's using and holding, and I think it's the same one right there, was not manufactured at the time, and they got caught. So they actually contacted the manufacturer and said, no, that was not even in distribution at the time. So now they did this on purpose to sort of cover that. They keep trying to cover their own sort of mistakes here, but it looks very, very suspect.
Yeah, I bet it would.
Mm-hmm. Cute. And sometimes the kits are 3 colors. You can get them in 3 or 4 colors. Sometimes they have even more. But the idea is that you want to counteract whatever color you're working with on the bruise. So the first day of bruising, the immediate is red. Red is what shows up right away. So you want to go with the opposite on the color wheel by dabbing on a bit of the green or something to counteract the red. After a day or 2, you get more purple in a bruise.
Again, if you haven't watched the trial, there's nothing beyond a day or 2. She has some pictures that have some redness, but it's really hard to distinguish, say, from the way she looks on the stand right now. It really is questionable. We don't have any of the advanced, bruises change color and they do different things. There are no pictures of that. None. There are pictures of her making public appearances the day after all alleged incidents, where this is on a talk show or she's something like that, and she says, "Oh, of course, I just have makeup on," but I mean, you can't see anything.
So you'd obviously have to go with more of the red tones, the orange tones here. Day 2 for me was always the trickiest because day 2 I feel like, day 1 and day 2 are hardest for me because that's when you get the most blues and purples and you have to deal with the sensitivity. Bruises don't like to be touched. That's the whole point. So that's the trickiest part. But after a few days, that becomes more of that blue becomes more of a brown, yellowish browns, like 5-7 days in becomes more of a yellow green, and then fades into a brown and then into your skin. And whatever color you're working with in the bruise, you want to go opposite color on the color wheel. The opposite I mean, so in the first couple of days when you have more of the typical bruise color, the blues and the purples, you want to go more of the orange on the color wheel as opposed to the greens that you start with, and then it progresses from there. I also noticed that bruising on your face tends to heal a lot faster than, at least for me, it was faster healing than bruises on my body, or at least it seemed like that to me. And a nose is pretty much unrecognizable after a day or two, depending on how much you ice it. Lips are the hardest to take back, of course. But it's easy to hide with lipstick if you're a woman, or if you wear lipstick.
We heard some testimony of people.
You've been holding out on me.
May 21st,
Your nose can be healed completely
saying
in
that
a
you
day.
didn't wear stitches of makeup. Is that true?
If you have enough ice,
Who
knew?
They just don't know what they're talking about.
Vouchers are some of the fastest healing things in
You
the
always
body.
wear makeup?
I mean, it's part of my bathroom routine in the morning. Wash my face. I put on moisturizer. My moisturizer has tinted foundation in it, and I'm certainly not going to walk around LA with bruises on my face.
Especially when you don't have them.
We're going to take our lunch recess at this time. Again, do not make any outside research and not discuss the case with anybody. And we'll see you in an hour, okay? Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
$100,000 to the
Okay, so here we are. We're moving into cross-examination here. The cross-examination was fantastic. The attorney, her name is Camille Vasquez, and she did a fantastic job. She starts out right out calling her an abuser, which if you watch the testimony, you would probably agree with. And then she says you never treat for medical records. You claim your nose was broken, but there's no medical records. There's no medical records, top to bottom, throughout this trial. Every date of abuse she alleges, she talks about horrific things that I'm not going to recount here, but bad fights, and then she's literally making a public appearance the next day, and you can't see anything, and it just simply doesn't match. And she hits her with all that. She shows the pictures. She shows the pictures that her team produced, and does a really nice job with all that. All of it would be worth watching, but I was trying to do a quicker video and not a 6-hour stream. But this particular thing focuses on when she got divorced, she pledged her $7 million to charity, half to a children's hospital, half to the ACLU. She never gave that money, and she's stone cold busted on it here. And not only does she eventually sort of admits it, but she fights about it first. And by the time you're done, you're thinking, but I don't trust anything that comes out of this woman's mouth. As simple as that.
ACLU and $100,000 to CHLA. Correct, Ms. Heard?
I think so, yes.
Okay. And the language that follows is the statement you released in response to Mr. Depp's donations, right?
I don't know if this is the official statement. I have no idea.
The statement that reads, starts at
Your Honor.
Amber Heard. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Would you please read that to yourself, Ms. Heard?
The fighter.
Did you read all the way to the very bottom where the last word is supported? That's the statement you released through your spokeswoman after Mr. Depp made the donations to the CHLA and the ACLU. Correct, Ms. Heard?
I do not recall exactly what my statement was. I don't disagree with anything in the statement, but I just simply don't recall what the statement was we released.
Is there anything inaccurate in that statement, Ms. Heard?
No.
I'm going to move to admit.
Objection, Your Honor. Lack of foundation.
Yeah, they can't admit it on that.
Objection to 1260 in evidence of objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I see. Okay.
Statement reads, Amber Heard appreciates Johnny Depp's novel interest in supporting two of her favorite charities, the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union for Domestic Violence, and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. This is great and unexpected news. And it continues.
This is disgusting too, because she has a publicist come out and say this, and this is written in a snarky tone about Johnny Depp. But the only person who ever pays these people anything is Johnny Depp, and Elon Musk, as you'll see in a little bit. But she's not doing anything. Well, I shouldn't say that. She might have made some payments, but those are the bulk payments. We don't have a complete accounting, but suffice it to say, she didn't give them the $3.5 million each that she said repeatedly she would.
However, if Johnny wishes to change the settlement agreement, we must insist that he honor the full amount by donating $14 million to charity, which, after accounting for his tax deduction, is equal to his $7 million payment obligation to Amber. And it continues. We would also insist that the full amount be paid immediately and not drawn out over many years. Anything less would be a transparent attempt by Johnny's counsel, Laura Wasser, and Patty Glazer, to reduce their client's true payment by half under the guise of newfound concern for charities that he has never previously supported, end quote.
I don't want to get into this too deeply, but I think that's just disingenuous. What is it? Disingenuous, bordering on spurious, as our good friend Judge Simpson would say. They don't care about the tax implications. Number one. Number two, I don't think there are those tax implications. If he's doing it because it's an obligation pursuant to his divorce decree, then he's not getting a tax break from that. He's getting a tax break from giving out the money in his divorce decree, but he's not getting it twice. So the idea that he's using this somehow for a tax break is just it's laughable.
Okay. Insert all of the video of him going to children's hospitals by himself for years.
Yes.
That's just an outright lie. He's been very charitable.
After this, you kept commenting about the donation of your divorce settlement, right?
I don't know what you mean by that.
You spoke about donating your divorce settlement on a Danish TV show, correct?
Yes, here it is.
I believe I said I had. I believe I said I donated it to charity, but it was already printed or already commented on and stated in press. I had already released that information in the press. I think I just confirmed it on that show.
You appeared on a show called RTL.
So she's defending her lie by saying, but I'd already lied about it previously. I mean, think about that. That's what she is saying on the stand. Clear as a bell.
A late night, right?
I don't recall what show it was.
We could please play Plaintiff's Exhibit 346, which is a portion of your appearance on this program. And we would ask that it be moved into evidence and ask for permission to publish it.
It contains, it contains a written communication.
Your Honor, if we may approach very briefly, play and publish to the jury Plaintiff's Exhibit 346.
By mid next week, I guess.
I know.
And actually, were all kinds of accusations flying your way.
What's the German sub? Okay, so they got it in, and this is her appearance on a Dutch television show where she says unequivocally, "I paid this."
And then there was a divorce settlement. You got $7 million. People were saying this is all about the money. But then you did
Dutch. I'm sorry.
That, twisted that whole argument. What did you do with that money?
$7 million in total was donated to. I split it between the ACLU and Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
ACLU.
Oh, no, you didn't. Liar, liar, pants on fire. That is despicable. And yet, here she is on the stand. You'll see as she's confronted, and she's going to push back on it.
It's a human rights organization.
Sorry, ACLU is a prominent organization, nonprofit organization in the United States. It's called the American Civil Liberties Union, and they work on behalf of marginalized communities on the ground and in legislative reform.
Right.
And
well, more power to you, because that's something that I've never heard.
I wanted nothing.
You liar.
Oh, okay.
This interview was in October of 2018, right, Ms. Heard?
I don't recall when it was.
It was in 2018, right, Ms. Heard?
Liar again. She knows when it was. She knows damn well when it was. She was on TV, and yes, I'm sure that she's done a fair number of appearances, but this is central to her case, and she knows all about it. She was prepped on it. This is just sleazy, and it's not getting you anywhere. It's hard to watch, but it's also fun knowing that her ship is sinking.
I don't remember when this was done.
This was after you had received the full $7 million of your divorce settlement from Mr. Depp, wasn't it?
Again, without knowing when it was recorded, I have no idea.
Wow.
The $7 million divorce settlement was paid to you in full by February of 2018, right?
That's correct.
Let's take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 1458, which is already in evidence.
The attorney for Johnny Depp here, Camilla, I think that's her name, Vasquez, really does a fantastic job, top to bottom, on this cross-examination. It was a thing to behold. It really was. Just very well done, very intricate, had to introduce all sorts of exhibits and things to impeach her with, and I mean, I would recommend that for, like, law students to, like, learn how to do this right.
The full settlement was paid in 2008.
This is the deal point memorandum from your divorce settlement, right, Ms. Hurd?
Yes, that's what it looks like.
If we go down to the bottom of page 4, there's a heading labeled
I've got a backlog of ones that I haven't responded to.
Equalization Payment. Do you see that?
Yes.
And underneath that, it outlines a payment schedule for the divorce payments, correct?
Yes.
Well, it begins to. And if we go on page 5.
Asked and answered, Ian Bush. Check out my asked and answered videos.
So the first payment is scheduled for August 31st, 2016, and that's $200,000, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Mr. Depp's accountant, Edward White, testified that he made that payment directly.
You got to turn on your microphone, Ms. Bertoff. I'm not going to hear you.
Objection to her testifying to what Mr. White testified to them.
Okay.
It said, he literally testified to it in court.
I'll overrule the objection.
Thank you, Your
Yeah, of
Honor.
course.
Mr. Depp's accountant, Edward White, testified that he made the payment directly to the AC.
That's funny. I didn't catch that objection the first time. She makes a hearsay objection. Hearsay objection is an out-of-court statement offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted. And Camille's cool. She comes back and said he testified to it in court. It wasn't an out-of-court statement. I'm referring to prior testimony in this particular proceeding. And the judge was like, yeah, fair enough. Overruled.
You and CHLA, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And then the rest of the payments were all made to you, weren't they?
That is correct.
And the final payment of $2.3 million is on February 1st, 2018, right?
The final payment, yes.
And you were here in court when Mr. White testified that the payments were all made on schedule.
I'm going to object to her testifying to what Mr. White testified to.
No.
You just got that overruled already.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You just got that overruled.
And you were here
2
in
seconds.
court when Mr. White testified that the payments were all made on schedule, right?
I don't believe they were. He might have
That's not
testified
my
to
question, Ms. Hurd. My question was, you were here in court.
That's how you control the
when
witness.
Mr. White testified under oath that all the payments were made on schedule.
I was here every day in court. I heard his testimony, yes. Okay.
So back to October of 2018. This was before Mr. Depp sued you for defamation, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
He didn't sue you until after the op-ed came out in December of 2018, right?
He sued me in 2019.
And the op-ed came out in December of 2018.
That is correct.
So in October of 2018, you had received your entire $7 million divorce settlement. You agree with me?
That is correct.
And you hadn't yet been sued by Mr. Depp.
This is October, correct.
Yeah.
So in this October 2018 interview, you said that you had, quote, donated, end quote, your entire divorce settlement to charity, right?
That's correct.
And in fact, your exact words were, quote, $7 million in total was donated to, I split it between the ACLU and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, end quote, right?
That's correct. I made that statement as soon as I got a divorce and we reached the settlement. That's when I pledged it, right then.
And you say this because you, quote, wanted nothing, end quote.
That is correct.
But you hadn't donated your entire $7 million settlement to charity at that point, had you?
That's incorrect.
What?
Sitting here today, Ms. Hurd, you still haven't donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity. Isn't that right?
Incorrect. I pledged the entirety
That's
of
not
the
the
$7
That's
million
not my
to charity, and
question.
I intend to fulfill those obligations.
Intend to fulfill is not
That's
fulfilled.
not my question.
Oh yes, she wants to conflate paid or donated with pledged. She hasn't given them the money. Nobody is fooled. In fact, we had people who have been on the panel, 3 of them that were from our over on Legal Bites and also on Arcada and stuff. There's a few YouTubers there. Rob, who's got Lawn Lumber, and Bailey of the Runkle, which is Ian, and our good friend, the DUI guy, Larry's down there. And they were in court reviewing the jurors. And just in case you're wondering, their perception, for what it's worth, being physically in the courtroom, is that the jurors aren't buying any of this either. We certainly aren't, but I'm just wondering, maybe in some alternate universe, somebody's buying this nonsense. Nope, apparently not.
Please,
What was
try
your
to answer
question?
my question. Sitting here today, you have not donated the $7 million, donated, not pledged, donated, the $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
I use pledge and donation synonymous with one another. They
But
are
I
the
don't
same thing.
understand.
Well, then you don't know English. But that's really not the case. You're being intentionally deceitful, and everyone can see through it like a cleaned window, okay?
As you do from your employer.
That's how donations are paid.
They promise to pay you.
That's how donations are paid.
That's not my question.
Oh, I love it. She's so
As
combative.
of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the ACLU. Yes or no?
I have not yet.
And as of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the children.
Well, unfortunately, it looks like problems happen here in DC Central, which means the storms must be rolling in. So we've lost connections. We'll leave this. Finish it up. She actually goes and asks about the other charity for $3.5 million, and Amber Heard has to admit that no, she hadn't actually given the money. Sounds like Amber Heard's going down in flames in the Depp Heard deal. If I find more, we might have it for tomorrow. Of course, be ready for Sovereign Citizens in the evening, providing that the storm clears so I can actually do the episode, and Art Bell in the overnight. Until then, like, share, and subscribe. Be kind to one another, and release the Krakens as we march along here this afternoon and every afternoon here from day one. Have a great afternoon. I hope to be able to see you tonight.